Hello, I'm Dr. Willis Holloway Jr. I am a psychiatrist and I'm also a trained child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I wanted to spend some time today talking to you about clinical research. We have a clinical research company. It's called Cutting Edge Research Group, and we conduct clinical research trials for several pharmaceutical companies. The purpose of conducting clinical research trials is to evaluate the effectiveness and the safety of treatments that are going to be used in patients who have certain diagnoses that are being targeted for that particular treatment. In our case, we work primarily in the neuroscience area, meaning that we work in therapeutic areas that involve psychiatric diagnoses. We are currently investigating several compounds for different psychiatric diagnoses. Some of the diagnoses for which we have current studies include attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a diagnosis that many of you would be familiar with. We also are doing a depression study in kids. We are also evaluating treatments in bipolar disorder for adults and in children. We are also conducting clinical trials in Alzheimer's disease for the elderly population, 55 and older. And we are also conducting schizophrenia studies in both adults and adolescent populations. In addition to all of those more psychiatrically based studies, we are also conducting an opioid study for patients who have pain, and we are looking at evaluating patients both for efficacy as well as tolerability issues in that study. So, why do we do research, and why is it important for people to participate in research? Well, research is what guides us in all of our treatments. It helps us figure out not only whether compounds work, but at what doses they work. We also find out whether there are any side effects associated with many of these compounds. And this is important information to have before these compounds are brought to market. Sometimes it is valuable for individuals to participate in clinical research trials because part of our process is we do an extensive diagnostic workup to help figure out specifically what your diagnosis might be. Sometimes in the psychiatric world, these things are very tricky, and some individuals will see therapists and physicians for years, and it might still be unclear what their exact diagnosis could be. However, in clinical research paradigms, we use very painstaking instruments to evaluate these diagnostic areas. Also, when you participate in a clinical research trial, they are completely and 100% funded by the pharmaceutical company, and therefore there is no cost to the patient when they participate in these trials. So it's important that you have an opportunity to have a complete and full assessment, and then in addition to your complete and full assessment, we also provide treatment for you with whatever compound we are currently studying. In these clinical research trials, we typically follow the patients very closely and maintain a lot of contact with you so that we can keep track of your progress as well as evaluate whether or not you are having any problems with the treatment. So, if you think you might have an interest in participating in a clinical research trial, or you have a loved one who you think might be a good candidate for a clinical research trial, we would love to have an opportunity to speak to you about it and talk to you more in depth about some of our specific studies that we are currently operating. Here at Cutting Edge Research Group, we really try to make every effort to evaluate whether or not someone is appropriate to participate in a trial, and we will provide you with as much information as you need. One important thing that you should know about clinical research trials: if at any time during the conduct of a clinical research trial you decide that you are unhappy with the treatment, or if you decide for any reason that you want to withdraw from the trial, we do not pressure you to continue, and in fact, we want to make it perfectly clear that your participation is voluntary at all times. So if you feel like you need to drop out of a trial, you don't have to have any particular reason. We will ask you what your reason is because we need to record that information. But again, there would be no pressure for you to continue in the study if you elected to withdraw. If you have any questions, we are here in Oklahoma City. You can reach us at area code 405-603-8068. Thank you, and I hope this video has been helpful, and we will be presenting future videos on some of our specific research studies, and I will be talking more in depth about those clinical trials in those diagnostic areas that I mentioned before: attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, pediatric depression, adult bipolar, pediatric bipolar, adult schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, and opioid addiction. Thank you.